Hey everybody, it's Mark Preer here in my shop. It's storming really hard outside. We have hurricane weather coming through and all that stuff, and I mean it's not really hitting us, but we're getting some of the remnants of it. And I been busy keeping things going, taking care of the family, doing right and all that stuff. And I wanted to address something today that keeps getting brought to my attention. And it's something that I've kind of ignored. I've argued, debated with people on it specifically here and there, but the reason why I haven't like really made any kind of public announcement or discussion on it is because I tend to think that a lot of people who are in our religion are intelligent people and have sense about them, right? And that they can see through the nonsense and the lies and all that stuff that get promoted about us, okay? And the main one, the thing that always comes about, always, like this is literally every single time, every single thing that you see, every single argument that we have, every single time people attack us or whatever, it always boils down to one thing. And that is that we ask that this religion of our faith, the Germanic Teutonic religion, that it has a standard and that it has a religious law, okay? This is explained like explicitly in Voluspa, where it says the gods established thing seats, the Norns established the law. I mean, and our ancestors, the word for law comes from our faith, lugr, and that's where the word law comes from. The words good and evil come from our faith. Goda is good, and evil is the Saxon form, and then the contraction of that is ilr, which is found in the Old Norse sources, okay? So the thing is that people try to accuse us of being Christian. Like that's their thing. They really like to say that. Whenever we tell them that there's divine law, that there's devotion, and that there's a standard, they just lose their minds. And they just do it over and over and over again, and they come up with all kinds of excuses and all kinds of things they want to say about us, right? And so what I want to do is I'm not going to debate that, what they say and what they do. I just want to establish here that that's where we're starting at, okay? And I literally, like, that's quantifiable. That's not something I'm just saying just to, discredit our opponents or whatever. It's like, it's quantifiable. Like literally I'll have a debate with a person on that, and they'll say morality is relative and we don't have good and evil, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll attack and get all mad about that. And then they go around behind our back or whatever, and they start talking about our work and our research and picking out details and things and all that stuff, and then saying that what we're doing is wrong and we're horrible people and blah, 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 blah. And that the only standard is no standard. And the idea of this, the only standard is no standard, literally comes from Satanists in the 70s who got popular and wrote a bunch of books. And all you have to do if you want to be intelligent and you want to look at this faith objectively and you want to ask the questions and know is ask these people to provide their sources. And they never can. They're just going to get mad. They're going to yell at you. They're going to say nasty things to you and all that stuff. And they can't provide their sources, okay? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to actually go over a specific attack that's been brought to us, and people, say things about it and say we're coming up with this, and they add all kinds of different things that we didn't say or put out there, and that is the concept of a divine teacher. Now we say, and it's literally shows like the people who've criticized us, like they've read the back of our book and were like, oh my God, divine teacher, that's it, it's Christian. And like that's because it's on the back of the book of the Ostraeda, right? So they didn't actually read the book. They just read the back of it and were like, oh, that's it. It's Jesus. These guys are trying to bring Jesus into this religion. Like, how absurd is that? Like, dude, I've been doing this for 30 years now. I've devoted my entire life to it. Do you think that I care about Jesus in any way, shape, or form, right? Like, is that something that you really think that I put my mindset into, where I'm just like, oh man, I really want to get Jesus into this religion, and no one in the society or any of the work that we do, like that's not something that we do. We don't talk about Jesus. We don't care about that. Christianity has nothing to do with our beliefs, we've literally put our hearts on our sleeves. We've written everything that we believe, broken it down into the most minute details, gone into written books on philosophy on it, put everything out there. And this idea that we would try to incorporate Jesus is just absurd, okay? So people ask us, they come to, oh man, they put in this idea of having a divine teacher. They're a divine teacher. And then somebody, I saw recently, they said, yeah, and that divine teacher, they say he came down to earth to die for us. And I'm like, we never said that. But whatever, that's lies. People spread lies. That's what they do. So the thing is, I got in a debate a few weeks ago about this because somebody was asking me about the divine teacher. So I kind of used that as a standard for what we're talking about here. And he said, you guys talked about some rabbi coming down to earth and he taught people stuff and you're just mimicking Jesus and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, look, we have a poem that very specifically states that we have a divine teacher that came down to Midgard and taught human beings the runes and the lore and the faith. That poem is Ríkisþula. That god is Heimdall. He comes down and he establishes the caste system. He teaches people the arts of building a culture, and he gives them what they call Aldrunner and Ivanrunner. Now, these words mean the runes of eternity and runes of earthly life. This is explicitly stated in the Ríkisþula 42 through 45, something like that, 44, 45. And it specifically states that he taught that, right? And then you look at the research and there's connections to other characters and we can go all over the place with that, but we don't need to, okay? Because this is very explicitly stated in the poem Ríkisþula that we have the god Rígr, who is Heimdall, and the poem specifically states that Heimdall is Ríg, right? And that he came down to earth, went to the three homes, gave them, the family, the fertility for progenerating their house, developing that, and then teaching them the Aldrunner and Ivanrunner, the runes of eternity, or the runes of the ages, and the runes of earthly life. We believe that's the lore. The Aldrunner is the lore, because it's the runes of the ages. And the ages, if you see in the Prose Edda, it talks about the Gullaldr, which is the golden age, and there's the Jarnaldur that's mentioned elsewhere. And we know that they broke down, just like the Greeks, more than likely, they had their lore broken down into ages. So the lore would be the Aldrunner, the runes of the ages, or the secrets of the ages, okay? And then you have the Ivanrunner, which means the runes of earthly life, living your life, how to live, how to, live the faith, how to exist amongst the gods, under the gods, and worship them and honor them and praise them. Probably an orthopraxy. I don't know, we have different things where we can connect to different stuff and show how the lines of research work on that, right? But the fact is it doesn't matter what he taught. The fact is he did teach, and he was divine, and he came down to earth, and he taught people, okay? And that's that. That is what it says, right? Now, if you think that's Christian, take it up with the author of Ríkisþula. Take it up with all the writers. But the idea is that we didn't interject this. We didn't take Jesus stories and put them in the Alsa Edda. We didn't do any of that stuff. That's ridiculous. And the people who are promoting this are ridiculous people because they don't want morality. They don't want a faith. They want to just make it whatever they want. I've seen some of the tenets that some of these people write down and some of the things that they promote as what it should be. And it's literally it should be nothing. There should be no recognition of any sources. There should be no recognition of any status. There should be no standard, period, ever, right? But it's you can't prove that idea exists within our faith. You can't prove that our ancestors were walking around going, hey, there's no standards to any of this stuff. We just do whatever we want. And the fact is that one of the things, this is a research project we're going to be doing in the future, is we're going to start comparing traditions in Tacitus's Germania, which was written, in the 1st century in 9 AD, and then compare that to the later saga material and show how they coincide, right? That you have traditions that coincide, like the pulling of the runes. He has the pulling of the Note, which is, they believe, very much so is pulling of runes. In the later sources called Blotspan, that means it's part of a sacrifice. Animal augury is mentioned in there. There's a lot of different things that correspond to stuff that we see in the later sources and shows you that these traditions were maintained for over 1,000 years, intact. And so how is it that if you have no standard, you could even do that? There's no way. Like, that's literally an impossibility. So there's people that are trying to teach you that there's no standard. Most of them are grifters, and they don't like us to, to challenge them. They don't like us to show that there is a standard, so they can't just make up whatever they want to and sell their books and all that stuff. And the thing is, for me, and people in the society, and this is why I like being in the society and why I like directing the society, is because we don't tell you to listen to us. Don't listen to me, all right? Listen to the research, listen to the sources. If there's something wrong with the research, tell me, and then we'll debate it out and we'll work it out. And if it's incorrect, I'll fix it. And I have done that before, all right? But these people who are telling you not to listen to the sources are telling you to listen to their cult of personality, and that's it. They're saying, ignore these guys. These guys are bad. They're promoting bad information. They're bad people, right? And they're trying to put Christianity in our faith. But in reality, what we are trying to do is set a standard, and they don't want that standard. And they get upset about it, and they want to fight about it. Because they never present any source-based argument ever. Like, that never happens, And so we want to continue doing the research. We want to continue teaching people this stuff. We make comparisons to like all the Indo-European faiths, and we show people how the standard works and the foundation that we built. And this is reality. I mean, this is what the faith is. And pretending that it's not it has nothing to do with reality. Like, it's just pretend. It's just a game. And so we have to recognize that we do have a religion here, and there's a religious law and standards and ideas and worship of the divine and all that stuff, and that is a very real thing. And that very real thing was handed to us by Heimdallr, our divine teacher.